So let's begin. I'll show you how we actually made the Borg cube, and this is using a clever tool called the discombobulator. Now this is an easy tool to use, so I'm just going to show you quickly how I made the Borg cube, but this can be used on spaceships and all sorts of things, so I'm just going to scale this up so it fills my whole screen. So I'm just going to scale it up, and then I'm going to press the Control and the Alt key just to actually fix the rotation and scale. So we've got our cube. Just going into edit mode by pressing the Tab key, and what I'm going to do is we're going to subdivide this cube. So A will select all, right click and subdivide this, and I'm going to subdivide it by opening this box here and changing this to 6. So each one of these cubes we're going to use the discombobulator to actually make our Borg cube. You can use this for any kind of sci-fi object because it adds panels and things to different objects. So to make this into our Borg cube, what I'm going to do is A to select all until it all disappears like that. Then we're going to face select, and what I'm going to do is select a random amount of faces by going on select random. Right, there's a bit too many actually highlighted there, so I'm just going to change this to 0.3. Now in fact I'll make it 0.4 because I'd like a few more than that. And then we're going to actually use the discombobulator, so then we'll add the discombobulator like this. I'm going to change this to 2, and I'm going to change this to 0.02, so minus 0.02, because I want some of the faces to go in and I want some to go out, and I'm just going to leave this at 0.4. As a default it's 0.15 on my computer and 0.35. I've also actually done the repeat protrusions to 2, and I'm highlighting 1, 2, 3 and 4. We'll just press OK, and as you can see that's made ourselves a little Borg cube. As you can see these protrusions are a bit too big, so I'm just going to Control Z to undo that and start again. So add discombobulator. I think they stuck out a little bit too far, so I'm going to put 0.2 instead, just so they're going in the same amount as they're coming out. Press OK, and we've got our first part of our Borg cube. Next, what I'm going to do is actually select. As you can see, it's created 2 discombobulated meshes. That's one of them, and that's the other one. So select the cube again, go into edit mode, make sure that you actually deselect all again, and then we're going to select another set of random faces. So select random face, select random, and then repeat again. Now you can repeat this as many times as you want, but what I'm going to do is actually slightly reduce the cube size each time I do this, and then just actually apply it. So add in a discombobulator and press OK, which of course will make more faces. Then select the cube again, press the Tab key to go into edit mode, A until it all deselects, and then I'm going to select random once again. But first of all, what I'm going to do is actually select that cube and shrink it. So A to select all, scale it down slightly just so it's a little bit smaller again, and then select A to deselect all, and then select random once again, and then apply the discombobulator again. I'm just going to keep repeating this until I get the desired effect. When you get to this kind of stage, you can actually select the cube, scale it down, and just select random faces, because pressing the Tab key, what we can do is actually select random faces, because we're just actually filling different faces in on our cube. Just to actually do this, you could still hit the random if you wanted, but once it gets down to this kind of amount, it's always just a little bit easier just to actually select them manually. And I'm going to do this. I don't want to select all faces because I'm just going to want to leave some gaps in there so the green light can show through. So that's I've selected some on that face, one more on this face. I'm just making sure I've gone round and actually selected some faces on all faces like that. Then use the discombobulator again and put OK, and then select the cube again, scale it down just that little bit more, and do the same again, and you just keep repeating this process bit by bit until you've actually decided yep, that's where I want to finish. And I'm going to select some of these interfaces just to, because I wish to, on the corners, and then just doing this just bit by bit, just to actually select the bits and bobs that I want. Because we're shrinking it each time, when we actually apply the green light in the center like you get on a Borg cube, then this will show through because it's actually not all cubes that have been selected. And add discombobulator one more time, and there we go. Scale this cube down yet again. As you can see, I've got a little bit of distortion in my cube. This doesn't matter, and it might be the effect you want. Selecting a few more cubes and selecting the last few faces that haven't actually got some kind of discombobulator applied to them, and I'm nearly about there. Select all there, and then I'm just going to use the discombobulator one more time. Right, these faces, now you've got them selected and everything, what we can do is we can delete that cube in the middle, X to delete, and it's up to you. What you can do is actually adjust these faces, scaling them in and out if you want to actually achieve a different kind of look, but to me that looks about correct. So finally what I'm going to do is select all these faces like that, making sure that you're of course out of edit mode, and I'm just going to join these all together. Object, join together, or you can press Ctrl J, which then of course turns them into one object. So I'm just going to call this cube 2. And I'm going to create one more cube in the middle, but first of all I'm just going to change the color of these to the black kind of color that you get. I want the Borg cube to be, so just select that. The reason we've done it in that mode is because I wanted to actually make it easy to model, and it seems to work a lot better in that mode, whereas if you try and actually do the discombobulator in that mode, it seems to take the computer quite a while to work this out. So add the actual color to this. I'm just going to add a new color, and I'm going to make it a dark color with a bit of shine, so a bit of metallic, 0.5, and I'm going to take the roughness down to 0.1, make it in fact 0.3 to make it actually a little bit shiny. And finally, just to finish that Borg look at this, and just to finish that Borg look, I'm just going to add in a mesh, a normal cube, and scale this up because it's going to reduce the actual amount of faces, and just take it up until it starts to show, and then you take it back a little bit, and we're going to add that green hue that you get in the actual Borg cubes. So select that, go to the surface, oh sorry, not the base color, go to the principal surface, and what we're going to do is we're going to actually change this to an emission shader, put it up to this green somewhere up there, and make it 20 or 30 just to make it that little bit brighter on the strength like that. And as you can see, we've got that kind of Borg cube effect that you see in the films. And finally, but all you've got to do is join these two together just to actually keep the actual objects nice and simple. Object, join them together, and that's it more or less. All I did is added a star field. I actually made a added a mesh in, and I added for that the little video on the front, added a mesh in, and added a sphere, UVC sphere, G and X, and all I did is I made myself a sun by increasing this, going on smooth shading, and I added another color into this, and what we did is put another emission shader, go in the principled emission shader, and I made it a yellow color to be the sun, and I made it something like 30 like that, and that's the actual sun that you saw in the video. And then I just actually recorded a few key frames to actually make it past the sun, and it's up to you how bright you want the sun to be, and you do that by just adjusting the emission shader, and then of course rendering it to your render. I also put a star field in, which is a simple, also put a star field in, which is a simple environmental texture, and it was an HDRI. And that's it, that's all I did, and just did some camera movements just to actually finish off the effect. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and this is a quick and easy way to make yourself a Borg ship, but this is also quite good for making your panels on different starships, Star Wars or sci-fi based things. It gives you that sci-fi look that you get in the films. It's up to you, you can add different kind of shades to this just to make it look that bit more realistic with a noise texture if you want. But hope you enjoyed this tutorial. This is Terry Cassidy signing off at BlenderTC. Thank you for joining me. Bye for now, and don't forget to subscribe.